Hello everyone, Ben here and welcome to the latest SCB community race in RaceRoom, where the public vote has taken us to Daytona for an oval race in the Camaro GT3. I've qualified slap bang in the mid-pack here, but like many of the people on the grid, I have not done a huge amount of oval racing, so I think all of us were in reality just trying to survive, particularly in these opening laps. As you can see, the rolling start is finished, we're already underway and we're on the outside here trying to attack into T1. We've joined now into the cockpit and you can see just how bunched up the field is. Everybody just trying to get into a slipstream of one kind or another. The radar in the top right hand corner of my screen is going to become really valuable here, because you do not want to inadvertently turn in on anybody on the inside or drift out and take anybody out on your outside either. But we've made a good start. We're up into 9th place and we're just trying to stick into Steer's slipstream here, but we run slightly wide. We get a little bit too aggressive on the pace. We give him a little tap from behind and we have to get out of the accelerator. That's going to give Joransson behind us a little chance to get onto our inside. There's not a lot we can do about that at this stage if we want to avoid a collision. And we've got Sven just behind us as well, trying to squeeze past on our inside too. And this is one of the challenges of oval racing. If you get slightly offline and you come to the outside, it's very hard then to close back off the inside line, and cars can kind of barrel past you if they're all in a slipstream behind you, and you go from losing one spot to losing 3 or 4 in the space of just a few hundred yards on track. And that's kind of what happened to us then. We're down into 10th place. We're having to slot now back into Joransson's draft already, and we'll see a little bit more of this in a little while. You can see the top 4 have kind of broken away from the rest of the pack as we now are going to cross the start finish line again here. But once more we're on the outside. I needed to get better at tucking into the inside. That's given Sven a run behind us. He's not quite far enough alongside us to make that move stick. And behind him we've got Clark, who's slap banging our draft as well and is now running alongside Sven behind us. Meanwhile, up ahead, Joransson, Steer and Finney all vying for position. We've come to the inside now. I'm hoping that Finney up ahead is going to come to the inside as well, and that will give us the draft, but it doesn't quite work out, so I have to slot back in behind Steer one more time. And we're coming around now again on the banked section, and it's just so difficult to try and find a rhythm here as you're trying to anticipate what different cars are going to do. Interestingly, Steer's come to the inside then. That's going to give us the draft behind Joransson. We're side by side now, and it looks as if we'll have the move done, and we're back up into 9th place. Because of that draft, we set the fastest third sector time of the race so far. But look at that, in the top left hand corner of the screen there, the top 4 have decisively broken away, so they've been pretty disciplined, it seems, in getting their drafting and bump drafting right. We're going to try and take advantage then of a little bit of scrappiness on our inside. We've got 2 cars to our left there that we're going to manage to pass. We've tucked in behind Finney and then Lampy just up ahead, so we're now running up in 7th place. We've got Finney side by side with us. He's going to push us to the outside as he drifts slightly off the inside line. We're going to pay a heavy price for that, I think, on exit, because we're going to be slower than the cars behind us. Let's just take a little look though as we're jostling for position there, at how the top 4 have managed to break away so effectively. What we've essentially got is the top 4 working together in 2 sets of pairs. So you've got Dietz and Van der Vaart, first and second here, that we're focusing on. Essentially quite comfortable running nose to tail. Van der Vaart is in his draft, is in Dietz's draft, and he's basically pushing him down the straight. And likewise behind, McQueen and Will are doing exactly the same thing. They're not squabbling for position. They're not coming out of the draft every time they go around the bank corner, and that is giving them the perfect chance to break away and run the maximum speed that they can. Unfortunately for Van der Vaart, as you see him peel away out of second place, he underfueled the car. And therefore has had to come in for a very early stop, and that is going to compromise his race completely, as you see the pack roaring past there. So that's unfortunate for him, but by and large the top 4 really impressive during this phase of the race, and that's why they were able to build such a big gap then back to 5th, 6th and 7th, which is where we are right now as we come into the bank section once more. Again, we've got cars all over the place here, really. There's more than 2 lines going through this section here as people are bumping into each other right and left, and it's pretty lucky that there hasn't been a big accident before now. We've settled just into Finney's draft here, as we've got Steer just on our inside to the left hand side, and then we've got Joransson tucked right underneath our rear wing as we're coming now into again the bank section. We get slightly raggedy and wide, we come now down, oh, and there's been big contact, and we are off to the left hand side. Joransson's been hit too. Wow, he very nearly comes right across our nose and wipes us out. I mean, to be honest, that felt like it was coming and it was going to be inevitable that something like that was going to happen. Let's have a little look at the replay and see whether there was anything we could have done to avoid it. I was getting pushed out onto the wide section of the banking. I'm trying to stick in the slipstream ahead, but I do cut back across Joransson's nose there. He then gets tagged from behind by, I think it's Sven. And we're lucky to avoid a bigger accident. That may very well have been my fault, and yet from Joransson's viewpoint, it does look as if it's me who loses my line and then comes across his nose. And he ends up hitting the barrier and then having to take to the pit lane. Very difficult in the pack there. I think it was a small mistake, but I think it probably was my mistake, unfortunately. I then spent the next few laps essentially lapping without a slipstream, so I was falling further and further behind Chris Rogers up ahead. So eventually I decide it's time for my pit stop. I come into the pit lane, just about get the car slowed down in time. I've taken a decision, because we dropped off the back of the pack, to not change tyres. So the rear tyres in this race are going to be really marginal towards the end of the 20-minute time limit. But to try and get some time back, I'm just going to refuel the car. So I know from practice how much fuel that I need to add to be comfortable in case we run an extra lap. But I'm not going to change the rear tyres. And you can see there in the bottom left-hand corner, the graphic on the screen. The tyres are cold because you're not really working them through the corners. But in terms of tyre wear, the rear left in particular is about halfway towards having no grip left whatsoever. The risk here is that I'm going to be marginal on getting a puncture towards the end of the race, so got to cross fingers that that doesn't happen. There's not a lot I can do to manage it because there's not really a lot of sort of ways in which we can go through the corners any less aggressively without massively losing pace. So we're in 10th place then, having made that stop. All of the other drivers up ahead now are coming in for their stop, or certainly the majority of them are. So we're going to see where we shake out here as we come around the corner, hopefully having saved about 20 seconds in our pit stop. But look at that, we're ahead of Chris Rogers. He's got a drive-through penalty, so he must have been speeding on the exit of the pits. We've only gained 1 spot though from that, and other cars are still in the pit lane. So hopefully they are changing all 4 tyres if possible, but certainly 1 set of tyres, and that is going to give us a chance to at least get back into contention with them. Because if I run the next 7.5 minutes without getting into a tow or without making up spots here, then basically our race is done. We're just going to be toodling around to the end. Oh, and there you can see McQueen has also come up with a drive-through penalty, so more speeding in the pit lane. Presumably that's going to play in our favour because he came out very much in front of us. We're going to pass cars though as they come out of the pit lane here, so this has worked. It looks like, at least for now, when Lampy's got a drive-through too, it looks as if this has worked for us. We're up now into 5th place, which just a few laps ago did not seem possible whatsoever. We skip forward then 3 or 4 minutes because ultimately not a lot was happening on track for us. Jason Spooner behind us has caught us up though. So it's interesting, he was about 7-8 tenths behind, and that's just enough to be in our draft. And that has allowed him to just lap after lap narrow the gap back to us because we haven't had the benefit of anybody else's tow up ahead, and he's now within 2 tenths. So this is going to be a battle for 4th place. Up ahead it looks like Steer has come out of that pit window in 1st place, and quite comfortably in 1st place. Will behind him is not in his slipstream, so as long as Steer keeps it on track and keeps it pointing in the right direction, he should be now home and dry for the win. And then, as I say, you've got Will behind him, and then Sven rounding off the podium places. He's too far ahead of us unless he makes some kind of mistake, so it looks as if that's going to be your top 3. But the question is, are we going to be able to hold on to 4th place from Jason behind us, because he is harrying us all over the place here. He wants to get down our inside, so he's got the inside line for the next banked section. I'm going to try and close that off as best I can without doing anything too aggressive. He's going to be closing in on us all the way through. He's going to try around the outside now to see if he can get any joy there, but as soon as you come out of the slipstream, he's going to lose pace. So I've just got to try and control this battle by being on the inside line at the key moments. We've got one more lap left then, as we're coming across the start-finish straight now, to try and hold him off. You can see just on the standings graphic in the top left-hand corner of the screen, in green is the number of pit stops that everybody's made, so you can see just how many penalties there were, and unfortunately that ruined quite a few races for people who would no doubt have been at the front and ahead of us at this point of the race. Meanwhile, as we come across then to finish this race, here is Tyre coming across the start-finish straight to win the oval race here. Fantastic, given he started well back in the pack. He has kept his head while others were losing theirs or driving too fast through the pit lane in order to take the checkered flag. We, though, cutting back to the live action, are still trying to hold Jason off. So we've got one more banked corner basically left. He's right tucked in our draft. He's about 1/10 of a second behind us. Is he going to be able to find a way past? He comes around to the outside now. It's not going to be the way he's going to be able to do it there. We're coming through then onto the start finish straight. He doesn't quite have the overspeed. He's now going to have to cut back into our draft again to try and get it back a little bit more. He's closing, but it's not enough to make his way past. We just hold on in the end to 4th place, which, given we started in the mid-pack, given we had that incident which unfortunately I think we triggered, which then set us back from the pack, the tyre gamble worked. They just about held on, and we come home in 4th place. Confirmation then that Tyre takes the race win, and here's the full classified results. A really great experience and experiment with oval racing in the SCB community. I hope you've enjoyed the race. If you have, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you next time.